The Inquisitors are one of the cooler aspects introduced into Star Wars. After Order 66, some Jedi were still out there, surviving on scraps and trying to lie low, fearing to be discovered by the Empire. Having a group of Jedi hunters in servitude of the Empire therefore makes a lot of sense, giving these surviving Jedi a menacing foe to deal with. They also stand out with incredible designs, having some of the coolest armor and masks in the franchise. Another common feature they share is their double-bladed lightsabers, which can spin like a helicopter and even help them fly? Well, in this video, I'll go through each of the 18 members we know of and tell you their story. The first brother Marok was first introduced into the Ahsoka series and now prominently featured in the new series Maul Shadow Lord. Marok himself was a humanoid warrior and part of the Empire's Inquisitorius to hunt down Jedi. His designation as the first brother likely meant that he was amongst the first Inquisitors to be recruited into the ranks of the Empire, and probably ranked right below the Grand Inquisitor. Though that's not confirmed, as we don't know how the ranking system works exactly amongst the Inquisitors. Marok himself likely was a former Jedi that was turned to the dark side after the fall of the Republic, and as an Inquisitor, he was only seen wearing a knight-like armor and a black cape that covered his left shoulder. He was present for the construction of the Inquisitor stronghold on Nur and likely took part in hunts against Jedi survivors. He can be seen briefly in Tales of the Empire, kneeling for the arrival of Vader alongside the 11th brother in the newly constructed fortress. Also, spoilers ahead for Maul Shadow Lord. If you don't want to hear them, skip ahead to the second sister. This was your warning. A few years after the rise of the Empire, the renegade Sith Lord Maul was spotted in the underworld of Janix. The first brother was the first Inquisitor to be dispatched to face off against Maul. This fact alone, that the Empire and Vader trusted him enough to take on Maul, probably speaks for his skill amongst the Inquisitor. After interrogating the Janix police personnel himself and farming some aura doing so, he discovers that there were also 2 Jedi on Janix, not just Maul. He manages to track the Jedi to their hideout by following the captain of the police force to his home, suspecting him of being dishonest after his interrogation. There he engages the Jedi Master Iko Diodaki and his Padawan Devin Izara. He engages the Jedi Master and pushes him back, forcing him to flee. Then he chases down Devin into the underworld and gets into a duel with Maul and Devin. He actually puts up a very good fight against no lesser than the former apprentice of Darth Sidious, mind you, even landing a few hits and fending off Devin at the same time. In a second encounter, him and the 11th brother actually managed to fight Maul to a standstill, almost killing him. These feats alone probably make him the strongest Inquisitor we've seen to date, potentially even stronger than the Grand Inquisitor himself. Ultimately though, even with the help of Vader, the hunt for Maul on Janix was not a success, and Marok gets pushed down a cliff by Jedi Master Daki. It's not clear if he died here or not, though I kinda doubt it. Years later, Morgan Elsbeth received Marok's body with the help of Night Sister magic, having him help her relocate Grand Admiral Thrawn alongside Baylan Skoll and his Padawan Shin Hati. In her missions for Morgan, we see him not only going toe-to-toe with the New Republic in a starfighter, but also single-handedly fending off Ahsoka in their first duel. Finally though, in their second duel on Cedos, Marok, despite putting up a good fight against one of the strongest Force users in the galaxy at that point, was beaten after being slashed across the torso by her. In his second demise, green mist came from his body as the Night Sister magic left him and he died for good. But for this feat, I'd say he's definitely one of the strongest Inquisitors we've seen ever, and is well up there as one of the most competent Inquisitors. Also, some trivia about his name, as he's one of the few Inquisitors that was actually given a name aside from just his designation. Marok's name and fate could carry deeper symbolic meaning. The name Marok likely draws inspiration from the Arthurian legend of Ser Marok, a knight who was transformed into a wolf by his wife, who had learned dark magic from the sorceress Morgan Le Fay. This connection is further reinforced as Morgan Elsbeth, the Night Sister responsible for his resurrection, shares the same first name. Additionally, Marok's wolf-like theme aligns with the broader mythological influences present in Ahsoka. Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, who were working alongside Marok, share their names with the wolves from Norse mythology, Skoll and Hati, who were destined to chase the sun and moon. There's also an incredible LEGO minifigure of Marok, and I'd highly recommend anyone to pick it up. Well, the General has been making additions to his collection for several years now, and if you're anything like me, you've probably imagined what it could be like to own a saber yourself. So that's why I started my own store called Stickman Sabers, with a singular goal in mind. Make sabers that look amazing, being inspired by iconic designs but specifically built to actually duel with. No worrying about babying them, just pick them up and go ham. They're equipped with state-of-the-art pixel technology, giving off an incredibly bright light that will light up the darkest rooms out there. And obviously have that iconic hum, just feels right the moment you switch it on. And for a limited time, if you pick a collector's saber up, you'll also get 2 combat sabers for free. So, if you ever thought about starting your own collection, this is a pretty good place to start. Links in the description, and now, let's get back to the video. The second sister was formerly the Jedi Padawan Trilla Siduri. After the fall of the Jedi Order, Trilla and her master Cere Junda hid a group of younglings from the Empire. However, her master Cere was captured when trying to lure the Empire away from the hiding spot and was tortured into giving away the hiding location. The Empire eventually found Trilla and the younglings, captured her, and subjected Trilla to brutal torture. Feeling betrayed by her master Cere, whom she blamed for her miserable state, Trilla succumbed to the dark side and joined the Empire's ranks as the second sister. As an Inquisitor, the second sister was probably the most ambitious and cruel Inquisitor of them all, taking great joy in tormenting her prey. Although we don't actually know anything about her other missions, we get a good glimpse of her during her hunt for Cal Kestis, a fugitive Jedi who was also traveling with her former master Cere. During their different encounters, Trilla succeeded in acquiring a holocron containing a list of Force-sensitive children, which could be a critical asset for the Empire. She brings the holocron back to the Fortress Inquisitorius, but is followed by Cal and Cere. In a final duel, she's beaten by Cal Kestis, who then recovers the holocron. With Trilla being beaten and at her weakest moment, she showed a rare moment of vulnerability and began to reconcile with Cere. However, before redemption could take root, Darth Vader arrived and executed her without hesitation, ending her life and one of the coolest Inquisitor designs there is. Also, there's a really cool custom LEGO figure of her I recently acquired, and it looks incredible. Reva, also known as the Third Sister, was a youngling at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. She witnessed the slaughter of her fellow Jedi at the hands of Darth Vader and the 501st Legion. After being stabbed through the stomach by Vader, she survives through pure hatred. This traumatic experience has shaped her path, leading her to become an Inquisitor. However, her only goal throughout all of it was vengeance against Vader himself. She appears notably in the Kenobi show and obsessively hunts down Kenobi in order to get closer to Vader to get her revenge. Her ruthlessness for her goal even led her to stab the Grand Inquisitor and leave him for dead, as she sought to prove herself worthy of Vader's trust. However, her ambitions unraveled when she finally confronted Vader on Jabeam. The Dark Lord had known of her betrayal all along and easily overpowered her, not even feeling it to be worth it to draw his saber to beat her. Also there, it is revealed that the Grand Inquisitor had survived somehow as well. Vader then stabs Reva yet again, just like years before during Order 66, and leaves. However, this is funnily enough, or sadly enough, not the end of her. Having survived not 1, but 2 stab wounds, she just walks it off, becomes super angry, and wants to get ultimate vengeance now. In her final act of vengeance, Reva with a stab wound flies across the galaxy to Tatooine and attempts to harm Luke Skywalker, whom she knows is Vader's son through pure convenience as a means of getting back at Vader. But at the last moment, after having kidnapped Luke, she realized she was becoming just like Vader. Choosing a different path, she returned the boy unharmed and with Obi-Wan's guidance, let go of her hatred. What became of her after this redemption remains unknown. As a fun little side note, I wanted to add that her attempting to kill Luke actually makes no sense, as Vader at that time didn't even know Luke existed, meaning she might as well have killed some random kid and just told Vader, yeah, I killed your son. Also, I never liked how she didn't have a helmet like literally all other Inquisitors. That's why her LEGO minifigure looks pretty lame as well. Next, please. Next, their great leader, the Grand Inquisitor. I know the ordering is a bit off, but I just didn't want to start off the video with him again. He was a Pauan from the planet Utapau and was introduced as the first Inquisitor ever seen on screens in the series Star Wars Rebels. Before becoming an Inquisitor, he used to be a Jedi Temple Guard during the Clone Wars, achieving the Jedi Knight rank. He grew disillusioned as the Jedi didn't grant him full access to the archives, which he wanted to study, as well as after seeing Barriss talking up against the Jedi during her trial for her bombing. After Ahsoka's trial, his faith in the Jedi was all but gone and he started flirting with the dark side. During Order 66, he trapped his fellow temple guards in a room, which is why they're absent during the fight in the temple, and it's not clear if he potentially even killed each one of them himself. He saw that as his way of showing his loyalty toward the new Empire. After the fall of the Republic, he got approached by the Emperor to serve under the Inquisitorius, and through that gain access to the Jedi archives. As the Grand Inquisitor, he served directly under Darth Vader, becoming one of the Empire's strongest tools in eradicating the Jedi. His knowledge of his former comrades, learned from the Jedi Temple records that he could now access, made him the most competent hunter, as just from seeing the fighting style of an opponent, he quickly knew how to adapt. Also, he was very proficient in Form 2 saber combat Makashi, the style that Count Dooku used. During his time as Inquisitor, he even got the chance to face and kill Jocasta Nu, and was only stopped by Vader after beating her in a duel. There is the small mishap with Reva, I guess, where he gets stabbed, but it's Disney Star Wars, and somehow he returns and is back to normal. Sometime later, he faces off against the young Jedi Kanan Jarrus, who had just revealed himself. Kanan foolishly infiltrates the trap he'd laid out by using the deceased Luminara Unduli's body to lure Jedi to him, yet due to the help of Kanan's friends, the Grand Inquisitor fails to capture them. After that, he gets sent to Lothal to properly hunt the Jedi down. Throughout several confrontations, although being superior in every way, he failed to capture or kill Kanan and his apprentice Ezra. In a climactic duel on a Star Destroyer above Mustafar, Kanan defeated the Grand Inquisitor after reaching a moment of clarity in the Force, which guided Kanan to his victory over the technically far superior Grand Inquisitor. Having been beaten by Kanan and hanging from the edge of the reactor, the Grand Inquisitor chose to let go and fall to his death rather than face Vader's wrath for his failure. Sadly for him, though, he didn't die there. Darth Vader bound the Grand Inquisitor's spirit to a Jedi outpost on Tempest, forcing him to guard the site for eternity. Years later, Luke Skywalker encountered the fiery spirit of the Grand Inquisitor while searching for a new lightsaber. After a duel with Luke, he was defeated, and the Grand Inquisitor's punishment continued. When the Pau'an begged for release, Darth Vader refused, leaving him imprisoned in his ghostly form to serve indefinitely. And that's where the story of the Grand Inquisitor ends, serving eternal punishment as his spirit is unable to pass into the Force. He also has two great-looking minifigures, especially the newer one I like a lot. An unknown member of the Inquisitorius, and also its newest member, was introduced in the Tales of the Underworld series as an antagonist to Ventress, the former apprentice of Count Dooku. It's still unknown what his designation was, nor what his name is at this point in time, and even his alien species is unknown. However, going by the list, I'll just call him the 14th brother. Just like all the Inquisitors, he was a former Jedi and ended up in their ranks. One day, he hunted down the Jedi Padawan Lycostrata to a remote desert world. To his surprise, the Padawan was being helped by none other than Asajj Ventress, who had kept a low profile due to Force-sensitive beings being hunted across the galaxy, but decided to help the Jedi escape. The Inquisitor ignited his lightsaber and engaged Ventress in a duel. He was incredibly strong and held his own very well against the former apprentice of Dooku, managing to knock her to the ground several times. He even managed to beat Ventress wielding dual lightsabers, managing to disarm her completely. When he was about to deliver the final blow, though, Lyco managed to sneak up behind him and stab him through the back with Ventress's lightsaber. And with that, one of the strongest performances of an Inquisitor comes to an end, as we've literally never seen any of them win a fight, not to mention against someone as strong as Ventress. Congratulations, Mr. 14th Brother Inquisitor. Put a trophy on his tombstone. Barriss Offee. Oh, how far she's fallen. She was once a dedicated Jedi Padawan under Jedi Master Luminara Unduli. However, her journey towards becoming a Jedi Knight took a dark turn during the Clone Wars. Though a skilled healer and warrior, she grew increasingly disillusioned with the Jedi Order's involvement in the war, believing they had lost their way and become too aligned with the Republic's military interests and were no longer guardians of the peace. This growing resentment led her to orchestrate a bombing at the Jedi Temple, an act of protest against what she saw as the Jedi's hypocrisy. She then framed her close friend Ahsoka Tano for the attack, leading to Ahsoka's wrongful arrest and expulsion from the Order. After Anakin was able to track down Barriss as the assassin, she was arrested, but the damage had been done. During her trial, Barriss did not deny her actions, but instead used the opportunity to openly criticize the Jedi before some of the Republic's most powerful figures, including Chancellor Palpatine. Her words struck a nerve, and even some Jedi were beginning to question the Order's direction. Ultimately, she was found guilty and imprisoned. Following the rise of the Galactic Empire, she was approached in her cell by the fourth sister, Lyn Rakish, a former friend of her in the Jedi Order. Lyn reveals the fall of the Republic and gives her a choice: remain a prisoner, or embrace the dark side and serve the Empire. Barriss agrees and is taken to Nur, where she encounters two other prospective Inquisitors, both former Jedi. In a duel to the death, Barriss prevails, kills the other Jedi, and is thus made an Inquisitor after some encouragement by the Grand Inquisitor to leave the Jedi way. For a time, she served as a Jedi-hunter, tracking down and eliminating survivors of Order 66. However, her heart was never fully in it. Unlike many of her fellow Inquisitors who reveled in their new power, Barriss remained conflicted. Over time, she began to see the Empire's cruelty firsthand, particularly in its violent treatment of civilians. As her doubts resurfaced, she found herself at a crossroads once again. Ultimately, Barriss could not continue serving the Empire. In a decisive moment, she turned against the Inquisitorius, denouncing her allegiance and escaping into exile. Rather than seeking revenge or redemption, she chose a different path, becoming a wandering healer. Using her knowledge of the Force and her skills as a medic, she traveled the Outer Rim, offering aid to those suffering under the Empire's rule. However, her past would not remain buried. Years later, her paths with the Empire would cross again while helping a family with a Force-sensitive child. The child was tracked down by the fourth sister, Lyn Rakish. Barriss then offered to distract the Inquisitor long enough for the family to escape, but is accidentally killed in the effort after trying to talk sense into Lyn. Barriss's death does lead Lyn to contemplate her path in the dark side, and it makes her turn her back on the Empire. The fourth sister, or Lyn Rakish, was part of the Nogradu species and was a former close friend of Barriss Offee during their time as fellow Jedi. After surviving Order 66, she joined the Inquisitorius, and due to her connection with Barriss, she spoke out in favor to take her into the Inquisitorius program. After Barriss converted to their side, she frequently went on missions with her in the name of the Empire. But Lyn's cruelty eventually made Barriss turn back to the light side and leave the Inquisitors. Years later, Lyn tracked a Force-sensitive child to an ice planet, and to her surprise, the child's guardian was none other than Barriss. She tried to hit Barriss, but Barriss simply dodged her strikes to buy the family time to escape into a labyrinth of ice caves. Lyn realized that Barriss was just stalling and left for the ice cavern. Before leaving Barriss behind, Barriss gave her a word of caution, telling her that she'd never return from the cavern should she enter it. Lyn, though, ignored the message and went after the family into the labyrinth. In the caverns, though, she quickly realized that Barriss's warning became true, and she got trapped in the labyrinth. Furious at her state and becoming desperate, Barriss's voice then appeared, offering Lyn a way out of the cavern and asking her to leave the Inquisitor's ways behind, calling out her fear. Lyn became even more desperate and started slashing the icy walls before accidentally stabbing Barriss, who had come to show her the way out. Lyn caught Barriss's limp body, overcome with remorse. Barriss forgave her, and Lyn then carried Barriss's body out of the cavern under her guidance. It's unknown what happened to either of them after that. The fifth brother was a former Jedi initiate from the planet Artemisium and grew disillusioned with the Jedi Order after witnessing the Republic's disregard for his homeworld. When the Galactic Senate approved the strip mining of Artemisium's resources, leading to the deaths of countless inhabitants, the fifth brother lost faith in the Jedi and their ideals. After the fall of the Republic, he willingly joined the Inquisitors, being entirely devoted to their cause. As part of the Inquisitorius, the fifth brother was a ruthless and relentless hunter. Among his targets were Jedi such as Eth Koth, Cal Kestis, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Following the death of the Grand Inquisitor at the hands of the Ghost Crew, the fifth brother, alongside the seventh sister, was tasked with hunting the Spectre rebel cell. He clashed multiple times with Kanan and Ezra, as well as fighting Ahsoka on several occasions. Although his involvement in these duels were mostly just for the action scene, as he never really accomplishes anything besides just being there and getting beaten, during his final encounter with the Ghost Crew on Malachor, the fifth brother, along with the seventh sister and eighth brother, engaged the rebels in battle. However, unbeknownst to them, Darth Maul was also on Malachor and had teamed up with the rebels. He's ultimately killed by Maul after getting disarmed by Ahsoka. This guy also randomly got not one, but 2 LEGO minifigures. The first version is actually very valuable as well, reaching well over $100 on the secondary market. Go figure. The sixth brother was once a Jedi named Bill Valen. Early in his training with the other Inquisitors, Darth Vader severed his lower arm during a training session, teaching him a harsh lesson about the program he had devoted himself to, and also further pushing him down the dark side. He participated in several missions, including a hunt for the Jedi Padawan Farron Barr on Mon Cala, alongside the ninth sister and 10th brother. However, Barr was able to trigger the inhibitor chips in the clone Purge troopers accompanying the Inquisitors, causing them to turn against the Inquisitors and forcing them to fight them instead, and allowing Barr to escape. In a panic, he slashed off his fellow Inquisitor, the ninth sister's leg, in order to escape. Later, the sixth brother traveled to the moon Rada, tracking a rumored Jedi. To lure the Jedi out of hiding, he started killing some of the farmers and taped himself doing it. His plan worked, and his target revealed herself to be none other than Ahsoka Tano. Despite being unarmed, Ahsoka was able to hold her ground against him and then use the Force to pull the Kyber crystals from his lightsaber, causing the spinning lightsaber to overload and explode. The resulting blast killed the sixth brother instantly. Ahsoka later purified the crystals from his weapon, using them to craft her iconic white lightsabers. The seventh sister was a Mirialan Inquisitor and was rumored to be Barriss for the longest time when she was first revealed. As a former Jedi, she was trained by Jedi Master Aayla Secura before falling to the dark side after surviving Order 66 and joining the Inquisitorius. Early in her time as an Inquisitor, she developed a rivalry with the 13th sister, often engaging in sparring matches during training sessions. In one of these training sessions, the 13th sister threw spider bats at her with the Force. This inspired her to start using Seeker droids to help her on her missions. She also used the Seeker droids once to electrocute the 13th sister as revenge for her getting injured during one of the sparring matches, and enjoyed her sister's pain a lot. After the death of the Grand Inquisitor, the 7th sister worked closely with the 5th brother, primarily targeting the Ghost Rebel crew. She frequently clashed with Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, however failed most of the time to make an impact. It even got to the point that it felt like Kanan and Ezra were fighting her and the 5th brother to warm up every week. Like, the script kinda went like this. Ghost Crew needs something on random planet. They fly there to get it, they find it, and then Team Rocket, consisting of the 5th brother and 7th sister, show up. They fight each other, and the Ghost Crew escapes. I kid you not, this rough storyline appeared like 4 times in Rebels. These two were such a joke in my eyes, and really didn't have any menacing presence. As Spider-Man would say, they're literally your random villain of the week you need to fight so there's something to do. Just like 5th brother, she met her end on Malachor after trying to engage Ezra and Maul. Maul easily lifts her up with the Force, holding her there for Ezra to strike. After Ezra hesitates, Maul throws his saber at her, cutting her upper body in half, instantly killing her. There's also this pretty cool custom minifigure of her. Check this out. The 8th brother was a Tyrellian Django jumper who was likely also a Jedi in the past. After the death of the Grand Inquisitor, a lot of the remaining Inquisitors saw their chance to claim the title for themselves. The 8th brother thus started to pursue the former Sith Lord Maul, whom he only knew as the Shadow. The 8th brother eventually pursued Maul to the Sith world of Malachor, where he hoped to capture or eliminate him. Upon arriving to Malachor, the 8th brother encountered Kanan, Ezra, and Ahsoka, but saw him outnumbered after a short battle. He attempted to signal reinforcements, but before they could arrive, the 5th brother and 7th sister arrived independently, also hunting the rebels. The trio of Inquisitors then formed an alliance to eliminate their mutual enemies together. The 8th brother is very acrobatic and quick, as that was kinda part of his species' biology, and does actually seem like a genuine threat every time he engages them. He manages to beat Kanan on one occasion on top of the temple, but as the fight went on, he eventually started losing ground, especially after the 7th sister and 5th brother both died at the hands of Darth Maul. This led to his lightsaber being damaged, and as he tried to fly away with it, it malfunctioned mid-flight, sending him plummeting to his death in the depths of Malachor. The 9th sister was once a Jedi Knight known as Masana Tide and is a female of the Dawutan species. She fell to the dark side after being captured and tortured by the Empire, breaking under the pressure and eventually joining the Inquisitorius. During her brutal training, Darth Vader inflicted his signature lesson of loss upon her, taking her left eye as a permanent mark of her new allegiance. On Mon Cala, she accompanied Vader and other Inquisitors to hunt down Padawan Farron Barr. However, when Barr activated the inhibitor chips in the clone purge troopers, the clones turned against the Inquisitors. In the ensuing chaos, the sixth brother betrayed the ninth sister, severing her leg to buy himself an opportunity to escape. Despite her injuries, she survived and was later fitted with a cybernetic replacement. Years later, the ninth sister was assigned to hunt Cal Kestis, joining the second sister to track him down. She eventually confronted Kestis on Kashyyyk, where they battled atop the massive origin tree. In the duel, Cal severed her right hand and also delivered a devastating slash to her back before finally force-pushing her off the massive tree. Against all odds, the ninth sister did survive the fall. Years later, she once again faced Cal Kestis, this time on Coruscant. In their final duel, Cal delivered a fatal strike across her chest. Although Cal tried to reason with her and remind her of her Jedi roots, the ninth sister was too far gone. Enraged, she made one last desperate charge at Cal, which he easily parried before beheading her, ending her tormented life. Tormented life is probably the truest statement out there. I don't think there's any other character that in literally every encounter she ever has loses some part of her body. She lost one eye, one leg, one arm, and finally her head. Guess she is quite a big target, but I found it rather funny that that's kind of her fate all the time, getting a random body part slashed off. The 10th brother was a blind Miraluka and was once the Jedi Master Proset Dibs. This made him probably the highest ranking Inquisitor, as he wasn't a mere Padawan or Knight. During the Clone Wars, Dibs accompanied Mace Windu and several other Jedi on a mission to the planet Hisrich. During the mission, after witnessing the countless lives lost during the battle, he openly started to voice his disapproval of the Jedi Order's involvement in the war, believing the Jedi had strayed from their principles. His discontent led him to attack Windu, though he was swiftly defeated and arrested by Windu. Proset Dibs was then brought before the Jedi High Council to face trial for attacking Mace Windu and accusing the Order of betraying its principles. Unwavering in his belief that the Jedi had become tools of war, he refused to repent and was found guilty of treason. While Dibs expected to be executed, Windu, recognizing the need for rehabilitation over punishment, advocated for mercy from the other council members. Instead, Dibs was placed on probation and assigned to work in the Jedi Archives, where it was hoped he would reflect on his views. However, he remained defiant, taunting Windu as he left. The experience reinforced Windu's faith in the Jedi as guardians of the peace, despite his lingering concerns about the Order's future. After Order 66, with the fall of the Order, he abandoned the Jedi way and joined the Inquisitorius, taking on the title of the 10th Brother. As an Inquisitor, he participated in the mission to Mon Cala, where him and a few other Inquisitors pursued Farron Barr. The 10th Brother was caught off guard by the Purge troopers that were turned by Barr, and was swiftly executed by the clones, making him one of the earliest confirmed Inquisitors to die during the reign of the Empire. The 11th Brother, or the Crow as some people came to refer to him, was an Inquisitor first introduced in Tales of the Jedi. His true identity remains a mystery, as his name and history as a Jedi before the rise of the Empire have never been revealed. Also again, Maul Shadow Lord, spoilers here, skip to the 13th sister. In Maul Shadow Lord, he features quite prominently as well, being the second Inquisitor to fit into the horror theme that Dave Filoni wanted them to go for, and his design definitely served that purpose well. Unlike the very weak performance in Tales of the Jedi, he actually puts up a great fight here, fighting an injured Maul to a standstill alongside the First Brother, and then also frequently engaging Devin, being more than a great threat to her. He even gets a cut on his leg and simply shrugs it off like nothing happened. Pretty badass. I'd say he definitely redeemed himself a bit after the disaster in Tales of the Jedi. Speaking of which, just to touch on it real quick. There, he was sent to a remote farming village after the Empire received a tip about a Jedi hiding among the locals. That Jedi was Ahsoka Tano, who had returned to the village after delivering a harvest. When she arrived, she found the settlement all set on fire and the 11th Brother waiting for her. Recognizing Ahsoka immediately, the 11th Brother engaged her in battle, but an unarmed Ahsoka managed to quickly disarm him in one swoop and kill him using his own lightsaber. Also, quite strangely, after his death, his head appeared to deflate like a balloon, though the exact nature of this phenomenon remains unexplained. I guess after Maul Shadow Lords, he just reinvested all his skill points into Aura and forgot how to fight. But still, I want a Lego minifigure for him. The 13th sister was once a Jedi Knight named Iskat Akaris. As a Jedi, she was a Padawan when the war just broke out, even being present during the first battle of Geonosis and witnessing her master being killed by a Geonosian soldier. After her master's death, she felt enraged and left alone, but due to the war and the need for more Jedi Knights, she, alongside her friend from youngling days, Tualon, a Twi'lek Jedi, and several other Jedi, including Anakin Skywalker, were granted the Jedi Knighthood together, thus making them independent of a Jedi Master. However, she was sent on very few missions on account of the Jedi Order, leaving her frustrated to not be able to take a bigger part in the war. During a short meeting with Chancellor Palpatine, she revealed to him her frustrations with the Order, making him aware of her susceptibility to the dark side. Throughout her time as a Jedi, she had grown a special bond with Tualon, who was always also there on the few missions she was able to participate in. After Order 66 was issued, she was spared by the clones on order of Palpatine and brought to Coruscant. There, the Grand Inquisitor made her the 13th sister, and she joined their ranks. During her time as an Inquisitor, one day a new recruit was brought in, who turned out to be none other than Tualon. After a short sparring fight with him, she realized that she had a feeling of affection for him. Years later, the two worked together on numerous missions, including the hunt for Jedi Master Eth Koth, alongside Vader and the Fifth Brother. However, their growing bond became their downfall. Upon their return to Coruscant, Darth Vader, now that he had spent some time with them on the mission, sensed their forbidden connection and viewed their relationship as a betrayal. Without hesitation, he ignited his blade to strike the 13th sister down, but his blade was caught by Tualon. The two lovers managed to escape, and a chase ensued through the streets of Coruscant. The 13th sister and Tualon fought desperately, but they were ultimately no match for Vader. Vader caught up to them eventually and used the Force to lift them up and impale each other with their own lightsabers. Tualon Yulana was a Twi'lek whose Inquisitor designation remains unknown. However, I'd say, considering his bond with Iskat and the number of the 12th brother being unoccupied, it would be logical for him to be the 12th brother. Him and Iskat had built a great friendship throughout the Clone Wars. When Order 66 was issued, Tualon and Iskat were on the planet Frong to chase down a separatist leader who had destroyed a village. When the order came through, Iskat was offered the choice to join Palpatine's cause, which meant leaving behind Tualon. She agreed, and Tualon was left to die as the clones opened fire on him. He survived the initial assault, however. Although wounded and full of hatred for the betrayal at the hands of Iskat, his rage kept him alive. So the clones took him in and brought him to Coruscant as well. There, he was brutally tortured and turned into Inquisitor upon the promise to get revenge on Iskat. Upon their first meeting, they had a sparring match which Tualon eventually won, as Iskat was temporarily distracted after rediscovering her feelings for him before being stabbed through the chest. She survived though, and then they went on to several missions together as Inquisitors to hunt down Jedi. Throughout their time, they started to develop a romantic bond, becoming lovers and keeping it a secret. Their final mission together would be the hunt for Eth Koth, as Vader later discovers their relationship and ultimately kills them both for it. Finally, some Inquisitors we don't know much about and don't have images for, as they were simply referenced shortly in books or similar. First off, an unnamed Inquisitor who adopted a teenage Dathomirian witch called Jercera, and wanted to train her as an apprentice. But she was killed by the apprentice after she deemed her master was too weak. Then there was an Inquisitor on Corral, and that's all we know. There's also these Inquisitors from Star Wars Visions called the Evildoer and Golak, though it's not really part of the same universe. And that's it. Let me know whose story you liked the most. For me, it's split between the Grand Inquisitor and now Marok, as he's just pure aura, but let me know yours. We are running a promotion on these selected sabers inspired by these designs in our store, so use the code to get your discount now on our collector sabers.